Demon Slayer, Hinakami's Hunger Chapter 1, Crimson Snow. The blizzard howled like a banshee, a chilling counterpoint to the blood-curdling screams echoing through the snow-covered forest. Tanjiro stumbled through the knee-deep drifts, his vision blurring with tears and exhaustion. In his arms, Nezuko lay motionless, her skin a chilling blue. He'd failed. He'd failed to protect his family. Now only Nezuko remained, and the demon that slaughtered his kin had vanished. Grief, raw and primal, threatened to consume him. A choked sob escaped his lips as he collapsed beside a towering oak, his breath ragged. Suddenly, a guttural growl ripped from the shadows. A hulking demon, its eyes glowing embers, emerged from the storm. Tanjiro braced himself, the hilt of his katana slick with his own blood. But before he could draw it, a searing pain erupted in his shoulder. Muzan Kibutsuji, the progenitor of demons, had arrived unseen. The fight was a blur of pain and fury. Tanjiro fought with a desperation born of despair, his blade flashing in the dying light. But Muzan was a whirlwind of claws and teeth. A single, agonizing blow sent Tanjiro sprawling, his vision darkening. Just as Muzan loomed over him, a horrifying warmth spread through Tanjiro's body. Agony morphed into a ravenous hunger, a primal urge that eclipsed everything. He lunged, not with his sword, but with his bare teeth, sinking them into Muzan's flesh. Muzan screeched, recoiling as if struck by lightning. Tanjiro felt a surge of power, his senses sharpening to a terrifying degree. He tore at Muzan, fueled by a hunger that felt endless. But before he could deliver the final blow, a blinding light engulfed them. The next thing Tanjiro knew, he was alone. The storm had passed, leaving behind a landscape bathed in the eerie glow of a full moon. The snow was stained crimson, a chilling testament to the battle. Confusion gave way to a monstrous craving, a thirst that gnawed at his very being. He looked down at his hands, no longer human. Claws tipped his fingers, and a grotesque transformation had begun to consume his arm. Panic welled within him, but it was quickly drowned out by the primal hunger. A guttural growl escaped his throat, a sound foreign and terrifying. He was no longer Tanjiro Kamado, Demon Slayer. He was a creature driven by an insatiable hunger, a twisted reflection of the man he once was. To be continued. Will Tanjiro succumb to the demon within? Can he find a way to control his monstrous hunger? Will Nezuko be able to reach her demon brother before it's too late? Find out in the next chapter of Demon Slayer, Hinakami's Hunger. Demon Slayer, Hinakami's Hunger Chapter 2, Echoes of Humanity. The transformation gnawed at Tanjiro's sanity. The once familiar forest now seemed alien, shrouded in an unnatural stillness. The scent of blood, both fresh and faint, filled his senses, a siren song that beckoned him closer. Hunger, a gnawing emptiness in his gut, urged him to answer. He fought the primal urge, the memory of his family a flickering ember in the encroaching darkness. Nezuko's pale face, her gentle smile, flashed through his mind, a beacon in the storm. He wouldn't become another monster. He wouldn't succumb. A guttural growl escaped his throat, a sound that sent shivers down his own spine. His arm, twisted and grotesque, throbbed with a dull ache. Claws scraped against the rough bark of a nearby tree, leaving deep furrows. Panic welled within him, a desperate struggle against the tide of monstrous urges. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught his eye. A small, dark shape darted through the undergrowth. A wild boar, its fur bristling. The primal predator within him surged, saliva pooling in his mouth. It wasn't human flesh, but it would satiate the gnawing hunger, at least for now. He lunged with a speed that surprised him, fueled by the demon's power. The boar squealed as Tanjiro's claws ripped through its flesh. Blood, warm and metallic, filled his mouth. It wasn't the same. It wasn't enough. Disgust warred with hunger within him. The boar meat tasted wrong, foul, a pale imitation of what his body craved. He recoiled, the taste a stark reminder of his monstrous transformation. Tears, hot and unexpected, welled in his eyes. He slumped against a tree, the weight of his new reality crushing him. A choked sob escaped his throat, a sound that echoed through the silent forest. Memories flickered through his mind, his father's gentle lessons, his mother's warm embrace, playful moments with his siblings. Each memory felt like a shard of glass, piercing the veil of darkness that threatened to consume him. He wouldn't give in. He had to find a way to control this hunger, this monstrous transformation. For Nezuko, for his family. With newfound resolve, he pushed himself to his feet. He needed to find shelter, a place to gather his thoughts and fight the demon within. He stumbled through the forest, guided by instinct and the faint glow of the moon. Hours blurred into what felt like an eternity. Exhaustion gnawed at him, but the hunger remained a constant ache. Finally, he stumbled upon a dilapidated shrine, its weathered wood barely standing against the elements. Seeking refuge, he pushed open the creaking doors. Inside, dust motes danced in the moonlight filtering through a broken window. The air hung heavy with the scent of neglect and decay. He collapsed onto the cold, hard floor, his body screaming in protest. Sleep, a fragile escape, beckoned him. But fear, a primal instinct, kept him tethered to the waking world. He closed his eyes, desperately searching for a shred of humanity within the growing darkness. Suddenly, a faint scent reached him, a sweetness that cut through the stale air. It was familiar, a memory from a lifetime ago, the scent of wisteria. His eyes snapped open, a flicker of hope igniting within him. Nezuko, could she be nearby? The thought spurred him into action. He clambered to his feet, a renewed sense of purpose driving him forward. Following the scent, he stumbled through the dusty chambers of the shrine. The sweet aroma grew stronger, leading him to a hidden room behind a tattered tapestry. There, nestled in a corner, lay Nezuko, her small form curled into a protective ball. Relief flooded through him, a warm wave washing away the encroaching despair. He approached cautiously, the monstrous transformation making him hesitate. Would she recognize him? Would she be afraid? As he drew closer, Nezuko stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing the familiar crimson irises. A jolt of recognition passed through her, followed by a flicker of fear. But before she could react, a low, guttural growl escaped Tanjiro's throat. The sound was foreign, monstrous, and it sent a tremor of fear through Nezuko. Tanjiro froze, his heart pounding in his chest. He couldn't control it. The demon within him was getting stronger. Nezuko, however, surprised him. Instead of recoiling, she crawled towards him, her eyes filled with a strange determination. She reached out a small, skeletal hand and, Demon Slayer, Hinakami's Hunger Chapter 3, Bonds That Bind. Nezuko's touch was a spark in the encroaching darkness. Her small hand, cool and gentle, brushed against his monstrous arm. A wave of warmth, a flicker of humanity, washed over Tanjiro. The agonizing hunger receded for a moment, replaced by a searing pang of guilt. He recoiled, the grotesque claws scraping against the dusty floor. "Nezuko," he rasped, his voice a guttural growl. "Run. Get away from me." But Nezuko wouldn't budge. Her crimson eyes held an unwavering determination, a silent plea that resonated deep within Tanjiro's fractured soul. Slowly, cautiously, she reached out again, this time cupping his face in her small hand. The touch, surprisingly comforting, triggered a flood of memories. Their childhood games, his promise to protect her, the warmth of their family hearth. Tears, hot and unexpected, welled in his eyes. He was a monster, but a part of him, a flicker of the old Tanjiro, remained. A choked sob escaped his throat, a sound that echoed through the dusty chamber. Nezuko, as if sensing his struggle, leaned closer, her forehead brushing against his. It was a small gesture, but in that moment, it felt like an anchor, tethering him to the remnants of his humanity. Suddenly, a sharp pain lanced through Tanjiro's arm. His vision blurred as the demonic transformation surged, fueled by the memories of his family's massacre. A primal roar escaped his throat, a sound filled with rage and despair. Nezuko didn't flinch. Instead, she hummed a soft lullaby, a melody their mother used to sing to them. The familiar tune, a beacon in the storm, pierced through the demon's rage. A flicker of recognition sparked in Tanjiro's eyes. He fought the transformation, the monstrous hunger gnawing at him. With a Herculean effort, he clamped his teeth down on his own arm, drawing blood. The pain, agonizing but strangely grounding, momentarily quelled the demon within. Exhausted, he slumped to the floor, gasping for breath. Nezuko crawled into his lap, nuzzling his neck with her small form. The warmth of her body, a small comfort in the face of his monstrous transformation, brought a flicker of peace to his ravaged mind. He knew this wouldn't be easy. The hunger, the monstrous transformation would be a constant battle. But with Nezuko by his side, a sliver of hope remained. He wouldn't succumb to the demon within. He would find a way to control it, to protect Nezuko, the last remaining ember of his humanity. As dawn broke, casting a pale light through the dusty window, a new resolve hardened within Tanjiro. He would find a way to coexist with the demon, to use its power for good. He would find the demon slayer who turned Nezuko, the only one who might have answers. He carefully scooped Nezuko into his arms, her small form fragile against his monstrous transformation. Together, they emerged from the dilapidated shrine, stepping out into the harsh light of day. The journey ahead would be fraught with peril, but Tanjiro wouldn't face it alone. He had Nezuko and the unwavering memory of his family to guide him. With newfound purpose, Tanjiro, the demon slayer turned demon, set out on a path unlike any other. He would fight the monster within, protect his sister, and find a way to become a slayer of demons once more, albeit a most unusual one. Demon Slayer, Hinakami's Hunger Chapter 4, Whispers in the Wind. The sun, a cruel reminder of his lost humanity, beat down on Tanjiro's back as he navigated the unfamiliar forest. Nezuko, nestled in the crook of his monstrous arm, slept soundly, oblivious to the internal struggle consuming him. The hunger, ever present, gnawed at him like a ravenous beast. The scent of blood, faint on the morning breeze, sent a jolt of primal desire through him. He clenched his jaw, the taste of his own blood metallic on his tongue, a constant reminder of his desperate fight for control. His enhanced senses, a curse of his demonic transformation, picked up a faint sound, the rhythmic clang of metal against metal. Curiosity, a flicker of something human, piqued his interest. He veered off his course, drawn towards the sound like a moth to a flame. Emerging from the dense foliage, he stumbled upon a clearing. In the center stood a lone figure, a young woman with fiery red hair, practicing swordsmanship with a ferocity that rivaled his own inner demon. As he drew closer, the woman whirled around, her crimson eyes narrowing at the sight of him. Her blade, a vibrant red like her hair, hummed with a faint energy. Tanjiro recognized it instantly, a Nichiren blade, a weapon imbued with the power to slay demons. But this woman wasn't radiating the familiar aura of a demon slayer. There was something different, an unsettling darkness swirling beneath her fiery spirit. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice a steely blade. "Demon or slayer?" Tanjiro hesitated. How could he explain his predicament? He was neither demon nor slayer, a twisted anomaly caught between two worlds. He opened his mouth to speak, but a guttural growl escaped his throat instead. The woman reacted with lightning speed. Before Tanjiro could react, her blade was an inch from his throat. The scent of wisteria, faint but unmistakable, clung to her. He recognized it, the same scent that calmed Nezuko. "Wait!" he rasped, forcing the words past his monstrous form. "I'm not here to fight. I need your help." The woman's eyes narrowed further, scrutinizing him. She sensed the flicker of humanity within him, a faint ember fighting against the encroaching darkness. Slowly, cautiously, she lowered her blade. "Tell me your story," she said, her voice still wary, "and choose your words carefully. One wrong move, and I won't hesitate to end you." Tanjiro swallowed, his monstrous form feeling vulnerable under her gaze. He poured out his tale, the horrific events that led to his transformation, his desperate fight for control, and his unwavering desire to protect Nezuko. As he spoke, the woman listened intently, her expression unreadable. When he finished, a long silence hung in the air. Finally, she spoke, her voice low and thoughtful. "You are in a precarious position, demon slayer turned demon," she said. "There might be a way to help you, but it will be dangerous and require immense willpower." A flicker of hope ignited within Tanjiro. "I'm willing to do anything," he rasped, his voice filled with determination. "Anything to control this hunger, to protect my sister." The woman nodded, a flicker of respect replacing her initial wariness. "My name is Kenroji Mitsuri," she said, "and I might have a way to help you quench your hunger without resorting to human flesh." Tanjiro's heart hammered in his chest. This was his chance, a lifeline thrown across the chasm of despair. He looked at Nezuko, her peaceful slumber a stark contrast to his inner turmoil. "Tell me what I need to do," he said, his voice filled with newfound resolve. He would face any challenge, endure any pain, as long as it meant protecting the last ember of his humanity and the one person who still recognized him, his sister Nezuko. Kenroji, a slayer unlike any other, offered him a path forward, a path fraught with uncertainty, but one that might lead him back from the brink of complete demonic transformation. The journey to becoming a demon slayer, albeit a demonic one, had just begun. Demon Slayer, Hinakami's Hunger Chapter 5. Blood Flower and Forbidden Technique. Kenroji led Tanjiro deep into a hidden valley shrouded in an eternal twilight. The air hung heavy with the scent of decaying vegetation and something else, something sweet and cloying. It was a scent that made Tanjiro's monstrous transformation stir, a primal urge to find the source. "This is the Shinigami Valley," Kenroji explained, her voice echoing in the stillness. "It's said to be cursed, a place where a rare flower blooms, the Kikii, the blood flower." Tanjiro's monstrous instincts flared. The blood flower, the scent that fueled the hunger, could it be the key to controlling his transformation? He pressed the question, his voice a guttural growl. Kenroji nodded grimly. "The blood flower possesses a potent aroma that drives demons into a frenzy. However, there's a legend." She trailed off, her voice laced with apprehension. "A legend," Tanjiro pressed, his monstrous hunger gnawing at him. "A legend," Kenroji continued, "of a forbidden technique used by a rogue demon slayer long ago. He ingested the blood flower, using its power to temporarily suppress his demon urges and enhance his strength." A flicker of hope sparked within Tanjiro. But there was a catch, he could sense it. "What's the cost?" he rasped. Kenroji's expression darkened. "The blood flower is a powerful poison. Ingesting it could be fatal for a human, and for a demon, the effects are unpredictable." The risk was immense, the path fraught with danger. But Tanjiro had little choice. Every passing moment, the demonic hunger threatened to consume him. He wouldn't succumb. He had to try. "I'll do it," he declared, his voice firm despite the turmoil within. He looked at Nezuko, still in his monstrous arm, fast asleep. For her, Kenroji studied him for a long moment, then led him deeper into the valley. The scent of the blood flower grew stronger, an intoxicating perfume that twisted his monstrous instincts. He fought the urge to tear through the undergrowth, to find the source of the alluring scent. Finally, they reached a clearing. In the center, bathed in the pale light filtering through the dense canopy, bloomed a flower unlike any Tanjiro had ever seen. Its petals were a deep crimson, almost black, and they shimmered with an otherworldly glow. The blood flower, the source of his torment and possibly his salvation. Fear and anticipation battled within him as he approached the flower, its hypnotic scent pulling him closer. Kenroji placed a hand on his monstrous arm, stopping him just before he reached the flower. "There's only one," she said, her voice grim. "One chance to get this right." With a deep breath, Tanjiro plucked the blood flower. Its touch was cold and clammy, the cloying scent overwhelming his senses. He didn't hesitate. He brought the flower to his mouth and swallowed it whole. The world dissolved into a kaleidoscope of pain and pleasure. Agonizing fire ripped through his body, a poison coursing through his monstrous veins. But amidst the pain, a strange clarity emerged. The hunger, the primal need for human flesh, receded, replaced by a dull ache. He roared, a sound that echoed through the valley, a primal scream of both agony and exhilaration. His monstrous form writhed, the transformation flickering and distorting. He felt himself changing, evolving. When the pain finally subsided, Tanjiro was left panting. His monstrous form seemingly more controlled, the ragged claws retracted. He looked at his hands, a sense of wonder replacing the initial terror. "It worked," he rasped, his voice raspy. "The blood flower." Kenroji watched him cautiously, her eyes narrowed. "The effects are temporary," she warned. "The blood flower only provides a brief respite. You need to find a more permanent solution." Tanjiro nodded, the weight of her words settling in. But for now he had a glimmer of hope, a way to control the demon within. He looked back at the blood flower, its petals now wilting. It was a dangerous gamble, but it had bought him time. Time to find a way to become a demon slayer once more, albeit a demon slayer unlike any other. With newfound resolve, Tanjiro turned to Kenroji. "Train me," he said, his voice filled with determination. "Teach me how to wield this power, how to fight."